Hello and welcome everyone to Faye Fitness. Today is going to be another Cooking with Faye episode, and I am going to teach you all how to make some Paleo Bison meatloaf. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in making, stay tuned. The ingredients that we are going to be working with, guys. So first and foremost, we gotta have some ground bison. And I have a organic yellow onion here, a 1 to 2 free-range cage-free eggs, some baby mushrooms, some grape tomatoes, a little bit of this grapeseed oil that I'm still trying to use up, just for a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, garlic powder, and normally I would encourage you all to use fresh herbs, but I am right out of them. So I'm going to use some all-purpose salt-free seasoning that has all of the spices that I would recommend to you anyways. And then we'll need a mixing bowl, a cutting board, a knife, some aluminum foil, and a cookie sheet. So without further ado, let's start chopping everything up and putting it in our mixing bowl. First, let's start with this onion, and as always, I am going to chop the top off, and we'll just set that aside, and then turn on its base, chop this little guy in half, go ahead and peel this little crusty pieces of layers off. For the life of me, I cannot think of what these guys are called. The little outer layers. Skin, maybe? No, that sounds weird. Take my onion, lay it on the cutting board, chop this way, turn my knife, and then chop this way so I get some nice dices. However, today I'm going to make these very small slices, just because I'm not going to put this in a blender or anything of that nature, so I want everything to be very small and easy to blend together so that it doesn't overpower anything when it's in our meatloaf or bison loaf. So let me just nab a couple of these. As you can see, I've got everything is nice and fine and thin, so I'm just gonna do that to our onions, and then we'll be right back. What I'm going to do is take a couple of these cherry tomatoes and dice those up as well. This is mainly just personal preference, however many you want. I'm going to use about a handful, so just chop these little guys up and plop them on in with our onion. And if you are curious, this is about how big of tomato slices, or tomato dices, I've left them as. Next, I'm going to take 4 baby mushrooms and just chop these guys up as well. The easiest way to chop a mushroom is to grab it by its stem and its top and just pull. And do you see how that just kind of fell out? That way I can chop them up without having it be this awkward shape. So I'm just going to cut the mushroom in half, and then like that. So my slices are about this big, so not too bad. And then for the top, you can just cut it like we would the onion. Just slice and dice. And if you've ever worked with onions before, you do know that they shrink when cooked. So if you want to dice them up tiny, that's fine. If not, that works well too. Again, personal preference. This is your meatloaf. Make it however you like it. Next, I'm going to put 1 mammoth egg in. Now we are ready to dump our bison in here. So I just got this from my local grocery store. I was actually surprised that they have it. But I'll be back in just a second, guys. As you know, I despise touching raw meat, so I'm just gonna cut this out of the package and dump it in here. Let's add some spices. So I'm just gonna do some garlic powder, trusty salt and pepper, my all-purpose seasoning, because I need to buy more spices. And we're just going to take our handy dandy fork and mash everything together. Now that our meatloaf is all mixed up, I'm just going to oil this aluminum foil lightly and then dump all the contents onto this pan and make a loaf out of it. Here you have it, guys. This is what the meatloaf will look like. I will admit it's not the most beautiful meatloaf I've ever made, but that's okay because we're trying this recipe out and seeing how it turns out. So I'm just going to wrap it in the aluminum foil, pop my oven onto 350, and cook this puppy for about 30-45 minutes, and then we'll check it and see how it's doing then. As a side note, I'm also going to be roasting some broccoli and carrots in addition to my meatloaf, just for a little extra veggies. So I'm just going to chop these up into bite-sized pieces, also wrap them in aluminum foil, put some oil and seasonings in there, add it with my meatloaf, and then pop everything in the oven. Here is the broccoli all chopped up, guys. I left things in bite-sized pieces, so that way they would hopefully cook good and be nice and edible when they come out of the oven. I'm just going to add a tablespoon of the grapeseed oil, obviously my old standbys of salt and pepper, a little bit of this all-purpose seasoning just so everything kind of has a similar palette in terms of flavors, and just a tiny dash of garlic powder. I'm going to again wrap this puppy up like a Christmas present, and then I'm going to chop some carrots. These are delicious carrot slices. I had some pretty massive carrots to work with, so I tried to get them as thin as humanly possible so that they would cook nicely and evenly. And I really lucked out. These carrots were sweet enough that I'm just going to wrap them up again like a Christmas present and bake them as is. So here's our meatloaf, here's our broccoli, and here are our tasty carrots. So let's just pop everything in the oven and cook it at 350 for 30 to 45 minutes. So after 30 minutes in the oven at 350, our meatloaf is decidedly not done. So I'm just going to put this in for another 30 minutes and we'll check it then. Welcome back, everyone. So I took the liberty of cutting this little guy open so you can see what the inside looks like, and he is nice and done. So let me go ahead and plate this up so you can see what it looks like. And here you have it, guys. This is a Paleo Bison meatloaf with a side of roasted carrots and broccoli. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and I hope to see you next week for another edition of Faye Fitness. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe down below to see more fresh content each week. And until next time, I'll see you then.